It is 1:42 a.m. I smushed the cat with my face. We were cuddling. I tried to wash the stuff off, and it got all sorts of everywhere. Anyway, it's September 8th, 2023. I haven't slept yet. And I'm going to talk to you. And we're going to talk real, just quickly. And did you see the heart? It's fascinating. What's happening is fascinating. So I'm going to tell you, since I've had numerous near-death experiences, and I died a few times, and I've come back a few times. And there goes the cat. He's a He's like the daredevil in the middle of the night. So we're not sleeping yet. I think I've made this video before. There it is. And there's literally nothing here. So can you not go in that corner? Can you go in this corner? No, sir. Sir Henry. Sir. Look at it. Just look at it. Sir. Do I need to have your treble clefs removed? Sir, look what you've done. Look at this. Look at this little thing. Give me these little peeps. Look at it. Just wait. Maybe you need this. I don't know. Sir, you already look electrified. Can you stop? Sir. Attention. Stop. Stop. No, it's not. No. Stop it. There's literally nothing there for you. There's nothing. Oh, that's what you're after. He's after this. Here. That cat is insane. In the best possible way. Okay, listen. Good grief. Hold on. Do not move the wire. I'm having a difficult time sharing this with you because I think I've shared this with you before, but I was in a different mindset. So I'm trying to remember, not remember, I'm trying to look. Okay. This is so weird to talk about. This is so weird. What is it like? First, I mean, it's happened so many different ways. And every time there's a do not attack that box of cards again. Again? Why do you have to attack this one? Carla got me this. Do not attack this. No. Dragons are friends, not nibble material. Do not. Someone does not want to know about this, and I'm picking up on their emotions. So, listen, if you don't want to know about this, come back later because it seems like you want to know about this. A lot of people that work in hospice and stuff like this will probably tell you this, but I see it from a different point of view and I've experienced it. So, the situations I'm talking about are the non-violent ones. It's kind of indescribable, and at the same time, it's very simple. It's like you're going to sleep. You just get sleepy. Everything just gets comfortable, slow, easy, like you're falling asleep in someone's arms. Most people think of it as darkness or like, emptiness or something. But it's the vastness and unconditional love of a being that's holding you while it's happening. Then there's also the swirling and chaos of your emotions and your mind, which in the last few moments are like soothed. Even when there's been pain, the pain seems to be numbed. And then you feel the connection to everything, the eternal waters. And then you see the differentiating part, which is light. And you see the void and the abyss. And that's when most people get freaked out. When they have a near death experience, that's usually as far as most of them go. They see the big emptiness, the vastness, some weird light, and then they see, weird entities, or they feel something, or then their mind freaks out and then they think they're going to hell and all this other stuff. It's actually just everything and nothing all at once. It's I think the closest word to it is the void, but it's not the void. Sorry, I keep looking at him because he keeps nibbling my finger, and he's been like nibbling really hard, but not nibbling like biting. He's doing a suckling thing. And I'm thinking if I need to give him kitten formula again, I might have to. He's been doing it a lot today, and I don't know why. I'm like, it hurts. I'm like, I wish it's hurting me. I don't know if you can see that. Like, he was biting really hard, like holding on really hard and suckling. So there's somebody here might be really afraid for their like a mother figure or something about their mother. um, when you're in the dark space, usually it's within a few moments as the pulse goes away. And in that moment, like the brain is still active, the mind still perceives, the consciousness is still there. So most people who do hospice work, or those people who help people pass on, they're usually still, holding space, talking, singing, or praying for a while after the person passes or moves to the next side. The reason they say the other side, I'm going to explain to you. When the body clicks off, like you're shutting down a computer, after you click shut down, it still makes that sound like it's still shutting down. There's still processes closing. And then it stops. When it stops, it turns on somewhere else. So in between is where most people are able to go, and they touch that veil, and most of them use DMT or ayahuasca. I've been blessed or whatever to where I've had those experiences without those tools and techniques quite a few times. And when you're in the dark space, that's death, where it's like you don't have a body, you're still a consciousness. Consciousness still exists, but there's no body. The consciousness attempts to breathe and it cannot. It attempts to move and it feels like it's falling. It attempts to see, but it can't. Everything's dark. And in that moment is when most people call to the light. There's a little bit of funny business that goes on in that point. Because if the consciousness is traveling to the other side afraid, it's not attracting the light. It's attracting something else. Not to scare you, I'll explain this. The mind creates projections, the consciousness. When you're in that space, that's why they say do your spiritual work, meditate, get to know the spirit realm and all this stuff. That's why a lot of us light workers and shadow workers and all that, they're here to, one of the main things is to help people comprehend the in-between. But they've gotten lost in their own in-betweens. You have to have a connection with your source, your higher power. Because once you're in that space and you're there, if you allow the consciousness with the residue of the human mind that was just shutting down to, like, if you remember human problems, you're in that space and you're like, oh no, I'm falling. Oh no, I have to do this or that. That's like ghosts, okay? And sometimes you can, that's something else. This is the basics. When you're in that spot or when someone's going to that spot, you want to call, that's why you call the Holy Spirit. That's why there's, rituals and practices to where people are assisted emotionally and spiritually while they're passing over. Those who have forced NDEs for experiments and stuff, please be careful. Don't mess with that stuff. You can bring different thought forms back with you. The bad thought forms that end up there are attracted by the person's mind, and they are the creatures in the books known as the beings that inhabit the abyss. The abyss is just another word for that place. It's like this in-between space. It's not the hellish abyss. That's something else. This other place is the best analogy I can give you is that when a computer shuts down and there's a moment you have to wait 10 seconds before turning it back on, or at least that's what I was told. You want to be in a positive vibration. That's why there's also rituals and ceremonies and traditions to where the body is embalmed or maintained for 3 days. It's given, I think, like 40 days of something. I don't remember fully right now, but there's different customs because there's still a connection. That's why sometimes some of you have experiences in this life where you're like, oh, it feels like, certain things like you're burning up or you have a falling dream or something. Sorry, my contacts are so dry. Or you have a falling dream, or you have a dream, something's happening, and then the dream version of you passes away. Technically, it's a dream. But in the infinity of everything, another parallel version of you experienced that. And the version of you that woke up from that is a parallel version of you that the other version of you jumped to after it passed away. So when someone passes away here in 3D, they don't really go anywhere. They're still in 3D. They're just either in the in-between where they're waiting, getting the missions or doing their thing. Oh, that's after the in-between. That's the place you go where there's the white hot room. That's what I call it. And then there's the higher realms. There's lots of them. And they all have different functions. There's different places to go. There's different realities. It's infinite. But for some reason, we keep coming back here. So, another layer to this is time distortion. So we experience time here slower, or experience time in general. Other places, it's different. And the other place, it's like infinity can go on, and in 3D, it's like a year is still going on. It's like so slow here. It's like compared to anywhere else. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it to you. It's weird. So let's say the person isn't having a near-death experience. They go to the in-between and they go to the next place. People that have the near-death experience and go to the in-between, the void, abyss, dark space where they feel like they're falling, they usually meet an entity, a being, an ancestor, someone dressed up as an ancestor, someone dressed up as a spirit guide, or something appearing as an angel or something appearing really scary. Depends on where you're at. And they usually take you to the next level of something, or they give you a message to bring back. Whatever, that's one thing. But people that, rest in peace and all that stuff in this world, and they go to the in-between, and then from that void space, their body passes away, and then their consciousness moves to the next spot, right? Where do they go? Well, this is going to sound really weird, but I've been there, and I'm telling you because I've been there a lot. From that space where it feels like you can see, but it's all dark. You can hear, but all you hear is your own thoughts. You can feel, but it feels like you're falling. You feel like you have feet, but you can't see anything and you can't feel the floor, and there's no up or down. But you feel loved, you feel held, you feel safe. The only panic is in the mind, which is why my good teachers teach you how to control your mind here. Well, in that space, if you can just stop and breathe, call to your higher power, regain a sense of yourself, regain a sense of spiritual balance, like as if you're trying to stand on your feet, but instead of standing on your feet, you stand on your chakra system. When you're in that in between and you do that while you're calling to the light, like Jesus or Mary, Isis, God, whatever you want to call your higher power, it's all one being. When you do that, sometimes they do it depending on, like, usually it's everybody that, when I see it happen for other people from the other place, everybody gets picked up and they get picked right up. But those of us who are learning something, we get put there and then we're kind of like, you know, suspended there. And then it's like, we'll catch, God's like, I'll catch you. But we don't really feel that safety moment because we have to learn the environment. Most civilian types souls, they get picked up by angels. The angel of death is usually there embracing them during their passing, and guides, spirits and stuff, they take them, they go together. So it's all nothing to worry about. What I'm talking about is the mechanics, kind of the DMV aspect of it. In that space where the near-death experience goes to, after that, after actual DEATH, and then the other side, it's like a conference place. It's a big splash of liquid light, colors, and prism effects, and just indescribable beauty. And it's such high vibe that there's no way to describe it as anything other than the base, default, and lowest it could ever be is unconditional love. It's just, there's no, like, no. It's just unconditional love, truth, clarity, justice, like all the good stuff. Even the bad stuff is like part of the good stuff. It's very strange. There is where the guides, masters, etc. are. For the most part, kind of, sort of. I'm giving you a very human kind of example of this, okay? Very basic. In that place, most people say they go there, they talk to their masters and stuff, and they get their new contracts, they do the stuff, etc., etc. Well, some souls that don't come right back, there's a place that I call the white hot room. And it's the only way that you're going to get out of there, kind of. Like, it's going to sound so bad. But when you're there, you don't even know you're there. You only know you're there when you're coming out of there. And then you're like, oh. But then you don't even know that you were in there. And that's a gift. Because that place is heaven. Like, that's the that's the only way I can describe it. The previous time I was there, I was a child. And I was looking for my older brother. And I was like, where'd he go? But my body here, it was like a year ago. I was dead. Like DEAD in the bed. Just And I have no idea how many days I was there. Like, just, it's so fucked up. And then I mean, I have no idea what this being's name is. I have no idea who it is, what it is, but it's something, it's a male or female energy. It's absolutely the kindest, most loving, like hug embrace being I've ever met in my life. Like the safest, like Jesus, is that you? Take the wheel. Here's the wheel. Take it. And that's really difficult for me to say considering my trust issues. So whoever that being is, they're like, if I was going to refer anybody to them, like I'm assuming that's God. So, or one of the archangels, like it just feels like it's somebody that's in that light, but it's also that light. And they're super kind. Like, I have no words to describe it. I feel stupid even trying to describe it. When I came back from that room, it was because that being picked me up. And when it picked me up, I turned into a child. And then it was reminding me of the sound of my mother calling my name. And then I heard my mother calling my name louder and louder and louder until I woke up in bed, like gasping for air. And then, like, the room was sparkling and weird and lit up. And then my phone started ringing, and I'm like, what? It was it took a few days for me to be like, whoa, what happened? It was messed up. But so such a beautiful experience too. Okay, so without going into more detail, overarching, you know, story of this. Remove fear. Treat the body well. Um, honor the transition. They will, they always, whenever we're on the other side, there is full awareness, but considering the parallel realities and the way reality works and what the divine intelligence decides to do and how you co-create with that, things vary. But, and I'm not trying to omit anything, I'm trying to boil it down for you. You want to honor the body, okay? You want to help the person mentally, spiritually. When they're on that side and they're living in that other life or they're going to their next life, most are aware in that place that they passed. But in this place, I can't be for certain that I'm in the same timeline I was before the other version of me passed. So I don't know if there's some other timeline of me where I'm not there, but the rest of my family is. And in this timeline, I'm here and my family's here. But me passing never happened. So I don't know how that reality timey-wimey stuff works. What I do know is what I've experienced being there and coming back. Being there, I remembered, but it was like time meant nothing, and it was like I just saw them 10 seconds ago. So, like, I was doing stuff. And then that's when that being was like, you got to go back over there. It was like playtime was over. The ancestors and the people that have passed on that I've spoken to and seen, they are well aware. They can bounce back and forth between the veils. They can mess with things in your environment. They can influence your dreams. They can send you messages. But the lower vibration you are in your mental and energetic hygiene, the more they appear to you as negative entities until you start manifesting those entities, which is not good. So if you have grief, that grief is a gift. Do not grieve for them. Grieve for what you don't have, not for the loss. Well, it's hard to describe because they're not lost. They're still there, and most people recognize that after someone passes, their connection becomes stronger with that person's energy. And I'm trying to be really gentle about this. But I'm noticing I've become really numb to this topic because I've died so many times. It's kind of like BRB to me, you know? I don't comprehend it. So I'm attempting to be really sensitive about this. Don't be sad that they're gone because they're not gone. The thing that like is more what you're sad about or what someone would be sad about is that you can't hear their conversation. You can't call them. You can't hug them. You can't hang out with them anymore. It's like a breakup. So process things like that. When people are passing, communicate with them and explain to them that they're not going to lose their consciousness. They won't be deleted. They won't just stop existing. If they're afraid of the darkness or the abyss, they don't need to be. Just call Jesus, call to the light, call to your archetypes, your ascended masters, your guides, your ancestors. 100% of the time they're already there. They want you to kind of get situated briefly, which is a lot easier to do when the transition is done with proper ritual, proper, tradition and custom and all that. Um, what else? Sometimes things done to the body after the body, the spirit passes. The spirit I was saying something about this earlier, the spirit does feel it in the other place. Not exactly the same, but it's like phantom pain. When you come back from the other place, so let's say you're reincarnated, um, it's very different. Like you know who you are, but you don't know the names, faces, places, anything. It's kind of like you're asleep for a really long time and you wake up and you're like, it's a house, it's walls, there's a chair, oh, coffee. Like it's one thing after another. It's like a computer booting up. And how else can I explain this to you? I'm probably gonna have to explain this to you in multiple videos. Through reincarnation, sometimes the things that, like if I was going to be reincarnated again in my next life experience, I'd probably have a real strong affinity to like butterflies, phoenixes, tarot cards, cats, sparkly curtains, and coffee, and I wouldn't know why. I probably love video games and nature and gardens and things like that. But I wouldn't be living a life that involved any of that. It would be like just the thing. Kind of like in this life, I do a little bit of painting. I love old movies. I love fiddling with jewelry, old classical music, old style cooking, cottage living, big fluffy dresses. There's certain sensations and scents I really like, and I don't know why. There's certain memories or visions or certain scenes, certain brick patterns of buildings or window structures that just kind of make me go, hmm. It's like a memory that you don't remember having forgotten, but you don't remember it either. But you remember that you forgot something that you were supposed to remember. It's kind of like that. And other people might be able to see it and be like, oh, that person's so and so, they're the reincarnation of whatever. But the person that is that, to them, it's kind of like, wasn't that a dream? It's kind of tragic and bittersweet. I've experienced future lifetimes of myself with people in my life now, and they were my children and siblings in the other life. My family members, my elders in this life. And in the future life, they were something else. And I remember in one of them, I was standing there and I was looking at my daughter and I was just thinking, this was my mother in another life. But I wasn't even human. It was so weird. It was such a strange dream. And in that vision dream thing, I vividly remember thinking this was my mother in another life. And I remember this life now. It's like, whoa, I'm dreaming, and I had to wake up. And I woke up and my mom was on the phone. It's like that. That's what it feels like living in a constant deja vu, but everything is different. And everything seems like it's off, depending on how long you've been gone. And people that have been reincarnated usually have dislikes or affinities towards other people for no reason. They usually have traumatic relationships with people and they don't understand why. It's all past life trauma is being resolved. It's energy being, sorted out. What else could you possibly want to know right now about this? What do you want me to tell them? Not in words. I'm not listening to you with words. I'm talking to the Holy Spirit. There's nothing to be afraid of. I know it's scary, but there's nothing to be afraid of. The thing that most people fear about DEATH is the removal of consciousness, it doesn't happen. So do not concern yourself with that. You will still be you. The only difference will be the senses. Please explain this. If you work in hospice, explain this to people that are passing. You will only feel like you don't have a body. So explain to them what it feels like to want to move your hand and you're moving it, but nothing's moving. So like hold on there. That wouldn't really work. Kind of like, if they were in a sensory deprivation chamber, it would make so much more sense. And that can be scary. Man, you guys working in hospice really need to be empathic, because it's not easy to explain this to people, let alone to go through it. The key is love. The more peace and love is around, the better. Just like how the dark forces, they usually do that stuff with dark energy and dark intentions to create fear. There's a reason for that. So you want to make certain that they're going with love, truth, and clarity. And the people being left behind, you guys gotta get closer to the veil and acknowledge within yourselves. And this is going to sound terrible, but you have to put your sadness aside and process the fear that they're going through first, and put your feelings of grief of losing them and your connection to them in the physical on the side, because that person is about to switch bodies, and this entire reality to that person will be a distant memory. Honor that. Not everybody gets to come back. So honor their belongings, honor their bodies, honor their memories while they're living and after they go. Acknowledge how you feel, be honest about it in regards to what happens when they're taking their final breaths. It feels like you're falling asleep. And then it feels like you're opening your eyes, but you can't see, and then panic kicks in. But you can't panic because there's no body to release panic chemicals. So then there's like a hyperventilation thing that happens, but you can't breathe because there's no lungs. So there has to be a way for each individual person and those close to them to find a way to meditate and mentally prepare for that moment. That's the only scary thing. The sensory shock of the lack of sense organs, but still being able to sense. The shock of being without a body, but still feeling like you have a body. That's what people don't comprehend. They're like, oh, it's just your body that you're leaving behind. Technically, no. You are your body. This is just a consolidated form, and eventually it gets left behind, or you can take it with you, depending on how much work you do on yourself. And if God lets you. So just try to comprehend that. Try to teach that. Try to learn that. You can access that same vibration through meditation, through Buddhist type things, through silencing the mind, being able to control your thoughts, controlling your emotions, controlling your lesser urges, the negative self-talk, the bad images in your mind, the places in reality and life that you feel really attached to. Because when you're in that other side, there are certain things you remember. And if you remember them hard enough and you long for them hard enough, the universe and the guides don't give it to you back as a gift. It kind of becomes a lesson you need to learn to let go of. So they kind of yoink you back in a pocket reality to where you deal with that stuff, or you get to live on Earth or whatever, and kind of be a witness to what's going on while you deal with karmic energies, resolve that stuff. Otherwise, it's like, next. I apologize for how discombobulated this video is, but it's really difficult to be able to explain it to you in a linear, simple way in one video. Considering I don't know what you know or what you don't know, what field you're in, where you are, and what words and phrases you would comprehend. I don't know your level of intelligence and comprehension, and I don't know your attention span. And you're not in front of me to ask me questions. So forgive me. If you have questions, ask them. I will probably make another video and answer those specific questions. But I'm uniquely qualified to answer questions for you about this, and I'm constantly being asked to utilize the light and the dark to help you find your way for both sides. No pressure. So I just heard somebody ask, do animals go to those places? Yes, they always go with us. We have soul contracts with them. The animals are not animals. They are the consciousnesses that don't inhabit human bodies. They're not at that level yet. They are just as aware as you and I. They just cannot communicate verbally like we do. But they are aware. I am able to communicate with most, and probably all if I really try. It's quite easy. You just have to tune into that frequency. And then voila. I suppose it's telepathy. Or whatever. Jean Grey action over here. I think I'd probably be more Molly Grew if I ever did a movie. I would love to be Molly Grew in a Last Unicorn movie. Peter S. Beagle. Gosh golly. Wow, what a weird, random thing. I'm gonna go. That just like threw me off for a loop. There's a whole bunch of other things I'm picking up on. There's so many people watching this. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments below. If you need specific, I'm being asked to tell you this and offer you this assistance. If you need specific help, email me and I'll see what we can do. Like to help you with maybe some like practices and things you can talk to, or maybe like you want me to talk to the person that's passing. I don't know, maybe to just give them some comfort. Like this is something I'm really good at that I don't really talk about. I can help them. And it's not something I want to do. Like there's a top 5 list of things I really don't want to do. And if I look at that top 5 list of things, it's things I probably should be doing. So we've gone through a lot of them in the recent few weeks. This is one of the few that's left. Because I'm working with the angel of transitions is something very it's an honor, but also the most tragic and bittersweet gift and job to do and to receive and to give. I don't know if you've ever been with somebody as they're passing. If you need help, I can help you with communication and all that stuff. Helping you have peace during that time. If you're going through something and you need someone to talk to, feel free to email me. Feel free to post your story in the comments. There's good people that watch this channel. Start working together. There's a community board. I don't think you guys can post anything on there, so I'll work on reopening a website with a forum. Please don't cry, okay? I've seen a few possible futures, including my own, and I know the wave is coming. And there's only so much I can do to Jean Grey that giant water wall. So, whatever that water wall is for any of you, may it be simple, if anything at all. But I'm here if you need me. What else can I tell you? What do you do with the bodies afterwards? Honor them. Try to preserve them as best as you can. There were many rituals to preserve the bodies in the ancient times. But that's your mission. That's your quest. I would refrain from cremation. But do as you will, it's your life, their lives. And if it's time to let people go, like people that are like suffering while alive and they're on machines in hospitals and in intensive care units and stuff, like, you gotta help those people. You have to go, you light workers and stuff, you guys gotta help them. You have to go find a way to bring light into their lives and comfort them through those moments. No one's there with YouTube to help them. No one's there to talk to them. No one's there to hold their hand. No one's there to rub their temple and their hair while they're going. No one's there to remember them in those last moments. Oof. No, I don't cry. If you cry, I'll cry. And if I cry, then the world will cry. You guys are going to be fine. And I'm here. And I'm telling you, there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to be afraid of. And do not concern yourself with the petty works of demons and demonic entities, because the beings I have seen on the other side, those that come at the moment of passing, even the negative ones, they are of the... You guys have no idea of the amount of love in that place. So if these people are giving you stories of terrible experiences and negative monsters and stuff, then those were really messed up people doing messed up things. So don't worry about that stuff. Live a good life, be a good person, take care of other people, and do what matters. And what matters is people are living, breathing, and passing for now. Or whatever. I don't even understand why it has to happen. It makes no sense to me. Why not just reboot the system? It seems like such a waste of life. There has to be a way. There has to be. Well, that's a video for another day. I'm gonna go now and take these contacts out because they're like really dry. Again, thank you for all the buttons, and if you have any questions, please ask. And I keep picking up on someone, that's why I'm procrastinating closing this video, and I wish I could hug you right now. But please email, if nothing else, whoever it is, whatever it is you're going through. We could do like a video conference call with the person that's passing, if it helps. Mm, if only I could shake you guys and be like, don't you remember that being? Don't you remember? Isn't there a way to get everybody to remember that being all at once? And then, like, nobody would be afraid. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna figure something out. I'm gonna go. And yeah, if you have any questions, do that stuff. And my condolences to those of you who have lost loved ones, and to those of you who are losing loved ones. I could talk to you for hours about this, but I'm gonna close this and tell you, any fear you feel regarding passing on to the other side is such a waste of your treasured emotions and mental power that you probably won't even bother thinking about how much fear you felt, because you're going to be too dumbfounded with awe and inspiration and love and kindness and safety and comfort and peace and brilliance and security. It's like being held in the arms of God. But first, God wants you to stabilize once you get to the in between. So sort that out and get people to recognize that. And stop grief counseling yourselves with issues you know you don't need healing on. What you need with the grief counseling is to acknowledge the physical aspect and the spiritual. The person's gone, but they're not in non-existence. The grief comes from not being able to send that love to them and experience it in return in three-dimensional experiences. But that can be remedied and alleviated by upgrading your spiritual senses to match their ability to use their physical senses. And then you two can go like this. Okay? And once both are on this side, then you guys pick a new story and live out a new life together, depending on your contracts, which are actually a thing. Soul groups, soul families, and stuff, they stick together. You guys might be having insane issues, and you had a horrible this or whatever, but it's just for this lifetime. My husband in the previous life is now a family member in this life. My family member in that life was a partner in this life. My family member, maternal figure in that life, the previous life, is my partner's mother in this life. So not my mother, but his mother. And in the previous life, my partner and his mother were husband and wife, and I was the kid. In this life, they're mother and son, and I'm the wife. I was. Isn't that weird? And yeah, my partner, my husband in that life, is a family member in this life. And my dad in this life was a friend in that life, I think. Or a sibling. It's been very weird. It's hard to keep track because there's been so many life experiences. But it's been the same people. Most of the time. Which I love. It's like infinite. And then we have this group of people that we, swim through the ethers with. Hi. I'm gonna go now. I've said that a million times. I made a lot of videos today. Okay. Remember, you can contact me if you need any help. Please ask questions in the comment section. And yeah. If you're gonna recommend my channel to anybody, just don't. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm an acquired taste for people. So this is like a little club. What did somebody call me? Oracle to the oracles. So hefty. Anyway. Okay, now you guys feel better. Now you're bored. Good. Now you're not sad anymore.